Welcome. I wrote the other day about sustaining the loop, and it talks about, well, at least on this piece of paper, it talks about how all of the builders, the accountants, the people that create within technology, and the so-called architects of the system, whenever there's expansions or new ideas or perceptions or the latest trend or whatever it might be, and they say we are evolving, we are expansion, well, that's not correct, because they are expanding, but they are limited to the design that they offer. Meaning the technology and the tech and the progress only grows within the loop of its own expansion. So they place a ring of basically an edge, right? Let's just say a ring. Inside this ring, you can't go out anymore, you can't go up anymore. So it's a perceived view of expansion. They've already reached the edge of where they need to go. So all of the things that they're releasing, that they're saying that it's growth and this is already within there. It's a false loop because it doesn't show true expansion within community, within reality, within purpose. It's kind of like a VR world of expansion, a perceived expansion, a perceived growth, but it's actually not real. The true realness is community growth that expands by using people's skills to a common goal. Think about it. If you go to the farming communities or rural communities or outside of the main cities and cultures, people who grew up in the 80s and 90s got that end of that cycle, but it's stronger. You build things to grow, to keep our younger generations to move into it. We teach them, we see growth, we plant trees for the future, we build roads for the future, for farming, we have everything grows and it's expanding. As community, you have family meals, you have spiritual ties, you have connections to nature, and you're appreciative of all of it. And you grow as a community towards a common goal of whether it's getting closer to source or just being happy and building in the environment and experiencing that. And then on the other hand, you have the technology, the technocrats, the business model, the eat, work, slave, repeat model, where they're talking about expansion and growth, but they're stuck within that. They can't reach the higher. These are the ones that want to build a ladder to heaven to see God to probably put them in a trap. That's an enslavement of growth. And people who are perceived to be expanding within that are trapped within the loop, but they're sustaining the loop. It's like a programmer who writes a code to be a programmer to write the code. That all the people that are born into this code keep writing it for themselves, that they don't have to write it. That's the consciousness of co-creation within the loop of entanglement. They just keep the system alive by reprogramming the same system over and over again. That's the reality we live. So I found it interesting that this type of understanding, the more people expand within the system, the more the system maintains itself. It doesn't actually grow, it's just a perceived view of growth. It's only when you go out into community or nature that you feel that this is where I need to be. This is more loving. This is where the growth is actually happening. Which is why they're trying to take that away from us. Trying to limit that, buy the farms, fill it with noise and flood the areas with problems. Take away rights to land. I mean, who even gave them the authority to own the land anyway? The land doesn't own to anyone. It doesn't belong to anyone. It belongs to everyone. No one has the right over it more than someone else. This is just a group of business people who have decided to take hold of it. You don't deserve it. The people do. The people have to remove that conscious creation from the system and start putting it back into the growth. Start putting it back into the common goal. And I think most people are. But when you get false directions and pushed into false narratives that appear to be saviors, it can mislead those to believe they're doing good, but they're falling victim to the same trap. When the whole idea is to build a new system and have everyone migrate to that. One that does focus on people growth and expansion. And then you leave them. I think the best way is the No Homers Club from The Simpsons, if you ever watched that. Where something that's thriving now no longer because you don't give it your attention anymore. It crumbles. So it's just something I thought I'd like to share as a piece of information, if you will. But I'd also like to say is that once I finished rewriting the book and the paragraphs, that I was contemplating reading it online and on the thumbnails putting the pages if they've got pictures on them and the front cover. Of course I would do this for free, but you'd have to listen to me for each chapter. So each video would be each chapter. And I'd like to do that for people because it's an interesting book. And, in my struggles, I've had it edited to understand one bit and then rewritten it again. But I think this is the best way of getting it out for me. And then I can focus on potentially printing that later if it reaches somewhere. And I've got the second series to go with all the information that I have to write. So I'll be able to focus on that. So if one person or anyone would be interested to hear my book, I would read it to you. So we'll see how that goes. So it is with that, I leave you with peace and love. Take care.